Hey Leo, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. These are general readings, so take what works, leave what doesn't. If I don't catch your storyline on this reading, go check your other major placements. If I do catch your storyline or wavelength on this reading, yay. And then also you can join me over on Vimeo for an extended where we'll explore the oracle cards and what they have to say about the storyline. So I am starting out with a traditional tarot spread with a tarot deck. And then extended, we'll do the oracle decks. All right, overall for the reading, Leo, the Hanged Man. Something is paused. The situation is just playing dead. It's not actually dead. Something's paused here. You may be trying to get out of the situation or figure a way out. You'll be released from the situation when life wants you to be released from the situation. But in the meantime, it is kind of a good idea to glean as much information as you can from where you're at right now. While nothing else is moving, you might as well, sit and read a book or, learn something while you're here. Learn something about the situation, how you got in the situation, what you plan on doing when there is movement here. But this is something that's paused, suspended animation. A little bit of a pause in the situation. It's not you that's decided to take the pause. It's the situation itself that things have been on hold. Things have been on hold. Suspended animation, situation, playing dead. This is your past, your present, your inner landscape. What's at issue? Environment, to-do list, possible outcome. Okay, this little Five of Cups here making the rounds this time. Okay, in your recent past, we have Seven of Coins, having put a lot of work into something and waiting for the results. Yes, paused. You put a lot of work. Here we have an orchardist. He's put a lot of work into this tree. He's grown this tree and he's waiting for the fruits of his labors to ripen. There might be some impatience here. Whenever we're talking about patience, we are also incidentally talking about impatience because we don't usually talk about patience until we start to feel the impatience. Otherwise, it's just, we don't even notice that we're being patient. So you're being patient and you have been patient and waiting here for your results, for something to come in. The fruits of your labors, you've put a lot of work into something and you have had to wait a very long time. Five of Cups, you're currently dealing with a grief issue. You may be dealing with some sort of frustration or grief that this hasn't panned out as quickly as you wanted it to or on the timeline that you wanted it to. You may be worried about or grieving or sad about lost opportunities, things that didn't work out, things that passed you by. You've been waiting so patiently, and then here is something that didn't work out. So maybe you waited for a really long time for something, and then in the end, it just didn't work out. This is also, with these two cards next to each other, it reminds me of how when we have these big, long goals, we can work and work and work towards them, and when they don't pan out on a timeline that makes any amount of sense to us, it can create a lot of grief and a lot of trying to understand if you should quit. Part of you just wants to move on, just wants to go find some other project or do something else, right? These fruits are almost ready, but they just keep not being quite ready. And so this is a frustration. There's a sadness here of how this hasn't worked out. This hasn't worked out on the timeline that you wanted. This hasn't gone the way you wanted it to. So do you quit? At what point do you quit something? At what point do you move on from something? At what point, does this not make sense? Do you say, okay, when do you pull the plug on something or someone? It's a similar type vibe. When do you pull the plug on maybe even a part of yourself or something that you wanted to come into fruition? When do you, when someone is on like life support or something like that, or they've had dementia for a while, at what point have they left? At what point is the grief process grieving for what? This time that you weren't able to spend with your loved one, but they were technically alive. It could be something like that. So anyway, there's a grief process. Something did not go according to plan, how you wanted, and you're very focused currently on what's lost. There is a future, obviously. You know, as long as we're alive, as long as we have breath, there's a future. There's something that can be different, renewed, something like that. So, but we're looking at this loss. We're not really able yet to enjoy and appreciate what we do have. Maybe we've learned a lot through this process. Maybe there's still hope and opportunities, even while we grieve something that's been lost, an opportunity that's been lost, or something like that, an opportunity or two that's been lost. There's still more. There's still more, but we're sad. Maybe we've waited under this tree for a really long time, and we missed a party, or we haven't found. We weren't out dating, and now we realize we've missed several opportunities because we were focused on long-term goals, which is really great, actually, for the most part. But you feel like maybe you missed out on some opportunities. You went to you studied so much in school, preparing for some future time, and then maybe you're starting to realize, like, maybe I missed out on some things while I was so focused on my labor and the fruits of my labors and the long-term plan. I may have missed out on something. So there's some grief process, some sadness here about having some loss, some kind of loss that has occurred while you've waited for something else. On your mind, yeah, I kind of was getting this, like, do I go in a totally different direction now? The Fool card. Is there something better? Maybe this is contemplating the journey, planning out a new journey, a new trip. This is reading the introduction of a new novel. This is, or, the prologue or something like that. This is, or even picking out the new book at the bookstore or something like that. You're thinking about, maybe I should try something totally different and totally new. Maybe this hasn't panned out. I've waited for such a long time for this. Maybe I should put my efforts someplace else. Maybe I should go on a new trip, a new journey. Maybe I should maybe I should become a whole new person. Maybe I should have a whole new career. You're looking at the future. It's dark around you. You understand, like, this is the dark before the dawn, right? We have a new day already, right? The new day starts at 12:01 a.m. So there's a lot of darkness and a lot of, looking ahead and looking for the dawn and looking for the signal that the new day has begun. In sort of the cosmic reality, we have our time. So this is the pre-dawn hours of looking at a new day, a new possibility, and thinking about it. Again, we have this little white dog here. Your heart eager to go, eager to move on, eager to go someplace forward. Well, eager to go forward. Well, you're still thinking about, I know this new adventure there's gonna be thrills and chills and spills here too. So do I want the whole new adventure here? Or do I want to stick with what I know? So that's what you're thinking about. The situation is 7 of Wands reversed. So you're not making time for something that's really important to you. You're dealing with maybe people that naysayers, but you're not dealing with them. You may be allowing naysayers to kind of overwhelm you. You're not standing up for what you want. You're not standing up for yourself. Somebody here isn't. Maybe it's you, maybe it's somebody else, but there's a sense of wanting to go with the flow, wanting to go along with what everybody else is expecting and what everybody else wants of you. And maybe that's what you've been doing, is doing what you were supposed to do, and it maybe hasn't panned out, and it might have you thinking about, well, what do I want instead? What's the journey that actually calls my heart? Because part of this may have been something where you didn't even want this trip. This was just kind of somebody told you had to go on it and you went along with it. 7 of Wands in reverse is going with the flow, not making time or room for the things that are special to you uniquely as a unique individual. Not having your own perspective, not fighting for your own perspective, not standing your ground, giving in. And so sometimes giving in is good, right? We can't have new adventures if we, stay in stasis in the way we've always been. We have to kind of give up and give in to things. And this can create some movement. So, you know, I'm not saying it's like a bad thing necessarily. Kind of feels like it right now, but there could be a sense of needing to give in or having given in a lot. And it has not made you happy, though. You're not happy right now in this situation. You've waited a long time. You're not happy. You're thinking about just kind of changing, making some big change or doing something different with your life and with your path, on your path here, or with this relationship or whatever, something else. Because you've been going with the flow and not making space for yourself, not making time for yourself, and not standing up for yourself. In your environment, you have Page of Swords. So you have somebody here. This is going to be a person that you know. They might be a younger person, younger than you. They're just learning about something. This is reading up on something. This may be a mentee that you take on, somebody that is just learning about something. They're a newbie. There's some curiosity here. They might be learning how to communicate in a different way. They might be learning a new understanding. Usually this connotates like book learning because it's got like a rational element to it. The swords are very rational, thinking, knowledge-based. So there's someone that's gaining some new knowledge. It's a little bit awkward. It might be a little bit different, but they're changing and they're growing and they're learning new things. They're learning every day how to talk about something, how to understand something. Because swords are going to be communication and knowledge and rational thought. So someone who's just exploring maybe a new idea, maybe something's a very new idea to them. They hadn't thought of it before and they're just trying to wrap their mind around something. So in your current situation, maybe this new person has made you realize how long you've been waiting here. I remember when I was new, starting out. Wow, I've been waiting for 20 years for this promotion. Okay. And then some new person comes along and they're grasping it, I think, pretty quickly, possibly. Your to-do list, 7 of Cups. Weigh your options. Have a pro-con list. These are your 2 little debate teams. They've got their flow charts here. They're debating which one of these is the best option. One of them might be more intuitive, but that doesn't, in some ways, almost doing these pro-con lists can help you get in touch with your intuition, right? Something may win the pro-con list, but then you'll feel like, yeesh, but I don't want to. I know that makes sense, but I don't want that. And unless you're like really in a hard spot, don't do that then, right? Don't do work you don't want to do for money you don't need. Don't do what you don't want to do, even if it shines in the pro-con list. But the benefit of the pro-con list is that it can help us sort out what we really want and the intellectual ideas from the emotional, from the impulses, from it can help us just kind of sort it out. And we don't necessarily have to be a slave to the pro-con list or the the charts weighing our options. We don't have to be a slave to that, but it is important to consider. So you might have a lot more options. Look and see all the options that you do have. Maybe some track that you've been on, you can finesse it into some other direction or something like that. And maybe there's a couple different directions you can go from here. So I don't necessarily see you making a decision right now or needing to right now, but this is definitely weighing your options, considering all of the options, keeping an open mind. Considering a lot of possibilities and of different ways you can do this. Maybe you don't have to, throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. Maybe you can, pivot to something else that's adjacent to where you're at. Maybe you do want to throw the baby out with the bathwater and just start completely over with a totally different project. But this is thoughtfully considering a bunch of options. There can be a lot of options, and sometimes the rational part can interfere with the emotional part, but I think this card is talking about sorting that out. What part is emotional information? What part is intellectual information? What parts, figuring out how you, as you sort it all out, your feelings will become clearer and clearer. So this is weighing your options. A lot of options may be overwhelming, and this can mean like taking a more rational approach to something that's emotionally overwhelming for you. Because we do have this emotional overwhelm here in this Five of Cups, this grief process. There's a lot of emotion, there's spilled emotions, there's overflowing emotions. This is very emotional. You might have some support here, someone holding space for you as you process these emotions. But there's a lot of feelings, and this is almost like sort these emotions out, organize them, put them, organize your feelings, sort it all out, figure out what you want out of the situation, right? Going from this to this of just, right? It's almost like she's got like a little flannel board or an old style chalkboard up here where we're gonna have a lesson, and then you're gonna take notes on this, and then you're gonna have to make an opinionated essay at the end. But this is doing your research, I feel like, and sorting out. They're both cups. They both have to do with emotion. One is thinking through emotions, overwhelming emotions, and one is experiencing the overwhelming emotions. So you're going from the experience of the overwhelming emotions to actually sorting them out, figuring out your options, weighing your options, bringing some sort of organization to this emotional overwhelm. Possible outcome, 8 of Wands. Lots of communication. You may realize that there is a lot that needs to be communicated. You may have a lot of communication coming towards you. This card always, to me, because my very first tarot reading in, I think it was St. Charles Square in New Orleans, I got this card and she was like, there's something up. So anyway, I had misread my ticket and I missed my flight, and it was a disaster that went on for like a week. So this always reminds me, make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's. Be very careful with communication. There might be a lot of it. There might be a lot to pay attention to. So just being really careful if a lot of communication starts coming up and starts coming through. But this is movement. This is a lot of movement. And we've been talking about something that's been in stasis for a very long time. And here we have a lot of communication and a lot of movement in the future going on here. Maybe, you're going to have some sort of conference or something, and you need to like get your feelings well understood here. You're going to have some kind of meeting, or something's going to start moving, and as that thing starts moving, it's going to be a lot better for you if you're not in a place of emotional overwhelm, but you're in a place where you understand your options and you understand your feelings. I'm almost seeing like a negotiation or something where, you're very upset, but you've got to kind of organize yourself and get your emotions a little bit more organized so that you can go into the meeting with more clarity about what you want. If they do this, I'll do this. If they offer this, I'll accept this, but no more than this. So organizing how you feel about a situation so that when the communication picks up, you can do a much better job of advocating for yourself and knowing what you want and knowing what you don't want. So communication coming in, I don't know if it's necessarily movement, but it could be communication about movement. So I hope that was helpful for you, Leo. If that was, if you want, join me over on the Vimeo Extended. If you don't want, I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.